Most of what I've done today is try to locate stuff. So this is where the long bolt goes. Those are where the 3 shorter bolt goes. Then one of these is a nut, one of these is a bolt. There's the nut. There's the bolt. Right there. I've also put some more of the red gasket stuff around there just as a redundant measure. I've put the red gasket stuff around the actual paper gasket and metal gasket and sandwiched it in there. Bolt, there's another hidden one down underneath here. You won't be able to see it. It's like right there, like behind this. You won't be able to see it. I wasn't able to figure out where a lot of this stuff goes. I don't have any idea where these brackets came from. I think it's somewhere near like the front, near like where the ignition coils and stuff are. I don't think it's from over here somewhere. I slid each one of these 3 tubes back on and got their clamps back on using this tool. It's a Craftsman CMMT 14136. I also crammed the gasket onto there. It's a Fel-Pro 6. It's a Fel-Pro 96331-1. It didn't fit really well, but all that matters is that it's sandwiched in between those 2 pieces. I've got my bolts and nuts ready. The nuts are 13396-08007K. The bolts are H11 4000825K. Hopefully you should have you will have read that yourself. My next step is to get this whole thing onto the studs and attach the nuts also. It takes 11 to 15 foot-pounds or 180 maximum inch-pounds to get those nuts and bolts on. There's space for 3 bolts, and then you've got 6 studs. I've pretty much cleared as much stuff out of the way, you know, so that it's not an obstacle, as much as I could. Some of the stuff I just have no idea where it goes. So that probably attaches over there somewhere, but just I think I'm going to end up with a lot of extra parts after this project. I'm scared because every time I find misplace something and notice that something's missing, I start to just get a cold feeling that I'm going to have to locate, like buy more parts, and I don't want to have to do that if I don't have to. But I'll see if I can track down those 2 bolts probably before I pop this thing on. I got the 6 nuts on and the 3 bolts onto the intake manifold. So I was able to get the fuel rail off. It's only attached by 2 bolts here and here, and it just pulls right out. There's nothing else attaching it. I was able to get the 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3. These 2 bolts are different from this center bolt. When I was ordering parts, they gave me 3 of this center bolt type, but they're not. It's like a smooth bore and then threads. So these are longer bolts because they have to go through the intake manifold and into the cylinder head. I was able to get to the 2 nuts on the bottom there towards the center. from the underside of the car. These four, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the end, those were I was able to get from the side, and all these are torqued down to 15 foot-pounds. So now I have to reattach the fuel rail, and it was missing the bolts. I haven't been able to find them anywhere, which is worrying for this thing, the thing that stabilizes the intake manifold, and I don't want that thing wiggling around. So I'm gonna have to go to the salvage yard and get 2 more bolts, because I don't know where mine are. And I also need to track down where the bolts and stuff are for the timing pulley and the idler pulley, because I've lost track of those. I spend probably more time looking for stuff than I do actually putting stuff back together. So I connected all the tubes all up in the intake manifold, and connected all the electrical connectors. It's hard to show what goes to what here, because a lot of the connectors, once they're hooked up, they just kind of look like the same uniform black thing. Like in general, the cables that are closer to each other, like the connections that are closer to each other, will match up, and I just kind of use process of elimination to figure out what goes where. Like if I couldn't figure out where something went, I would just go to the next cable. This thing is not latching on all the way, I think, because its thing is broken off, so it's just gonna have to be loose like that. Attached this to this. It has 2 bolts, it has 2 nuts, and there's a bolt down there that goes into it. My next step is to get a hold of 2 of the giant bolts that attach the intake manifold on its lower 2 connection points. Those can be pretty expensive, so I'll probably get those for pull apart next time I go there. I've got to order a bolt from the Hyundai parts store for the idler pulley, because that thing is lost and I don't know what happened to it. I've got to get it from the Hyundai parts store because the idler pulley is, it's covered by a timing belt cover. And that thing's just more difficult to get off than it's worth. And I can't order them from Rock Auto or Amazon, because Rock Auto doesn't have them and Amazon usually doesn't have them. eBay is a maybe, but it takes forever for the stuff to get here, so I'm probably just going to get it from the Hyundai parts store on like Tuesday. I didn't have a 3/8 tap holder for the tap that I'm going to use to rethread the bolt hole for the idler pulley and tensioner pulley, because I've only got one that's 1/4 inch and not 3/8. Actually, no, it's the other way around. I've got one that's a smaller one, and I don't have the bigger 3/8 inch one. So that is probably able to be gotten from Amazon. I could get it from Harbor Freight for $22 because they don't sell just that holder by itself. You have to buy a whole kit. I've still got to take off the hose back there. Take off the hose, put on a hose clamp on the diagnostic control module for the fuel tank. So getting that semi-dry rotted tube off of there and putting the clamp back on is going to be a chore. I want to do that because I don't trust just a tube being dry rotted on there to hold pressure. Like, I actually want a clamp. And the other one just broke off when I was trying to get it off of there because it was just rusted. I've also got to get the muffler, not the muffler, the exhaust manifold get that attached and torqued down properly. But we've also got to get the power steering pump attached, but I'm probably going to leave that and the power steering reservoir loose until I've got the upper and lower timing belt covers on. It's like I'm trying to tackle the core stuff first, but I wasn't able to do that today because I didn't have the one tool, just the one tool that it would enable me to rethread the bolt holes. I mean, at least it looks more like an engine. There's just so much more stuff, and it gets overwhelming really fast. So tonight, just wash clothes, shower, start ordering parts, what parts I can online, shopping for those. Tomorrow, if I can't find the stuff cheaper online, the different parts online, then I'll have to go run and get them. I'm probably not going to do the Hyundai Parts Stores thing today though, or tomorrow either. I got the helicoils in. So the idler pulley and tensioner pulley holes were stripped out. So I didn't use a drill in order to get in there. I used a tap and die and a helicoil set, just an off-brand one from Amazon. I used some of this cutting oil, sprayed some of that in there, did the thing with the tap wrench and the bit provided by the helicoil set. Got as much of the little tiny aluminum flakes out as I could, but I don't have an air gun or any compressed air at all, so I just used throttle body cleaner instead, which I guess got rid of the oil too. It's just a bonus effect, and I'm supposed to do that anyway. Then I twisted the helicoils in, and this one I broke off from this side using the punching it that way, because if I use the punch and punched it this way, it would just stretch that coil out. And this one, the tool with the slot on the end got stuck, so I pretty much just was wrestling with that, and the thing broke off on the inside, and I was able to remove it that way. So there was a piece on this that broke off, like of the actual aluminum thing, because aluminum is brittle. And probably that was when I was trying to use this tool to expand the hole enough to fit the tap in there, but turns out that I didn't need to even do that. I didn't need to expand the hole. I could have just, stuck the tap in there and gone with it, which is what I did. So I've got steel stick attaching that there, and now it's drying, and I just completely took off the front case instead of, because I didn't have enough room to do what I needed to do, which also means that the whole lowering of the engine thing, by taking out the engine mount thing was unnecessary, and I didn't need to do that at all. So now I'm gonna need to put that back. I guess it helped a little bit to gain access with the ratchet on some of the bolts of the front case, but really it didn't do much. I had to completely take off the oil pan because of this part. It's not physically possible to take it out without removing the oil pan, just because it gets caught on that thing. Which means that I've got to do the same stupid thing with this, and putting that back on the one strip spot, the one bolt hole that was stripped out. There is one hole on the oil pan that is stripped out and is never going to be unwrecked. and I've really just got some of that red goop in there and really nothing else, like to the gasket stuff, and nothing else to keep that part from leaking. The gasket for the front case looks okay, so I'm just going to keep using it. And I know you're not supposed to do that, but I don't want to have to order another one. And I also don't want to have to order another gasket for this. It's wrecked up from just trying to take it off, like in the process of getting the oil pan off. And I'm going to try, you know, because kind of this slow leaks and stuff aren't going to be my concern because I'm selling the car. I'm going to do the best I can to keep it in as good condition as I can, you know, for the next buyer, because I think just that's what I want to do. At least I personally want to do it. I'm going to put that gasket cinch under here and around here, just the parts that have been you know, torn up some, and hopefully just the, you know, the pressure from the bolts and stuff will keep it held on there. Yeah, there's definitely going to be aluminum flakes in there in different places. Just, I've tried to remove as many of them as I could, but they're, as you can see, they're just all over the place. I'm hoping that they're not going to tear up the bearings too much, you know, and the pistons and everything. You know, aluminum is softer than the steel and stuff that the pistons are made of, and you know, it's gonna probably impact the coating on the bearings some negatively, but I think the bearings will overall be okay if I just clean up the majority of these aluminum flakes. So next step is just to reattach this thing. I think it's 15 foot-pounds per bolt to reattach this. I got to reattach that thing. I got to reattach the alternator. I got to reattach the engine mount. I don't think I'm going to do that engine mount today. I think I'm just gonna save that for a different day because I've been up since 10:30 p.m. and it is now 2 p.m. like 2:30 p.m. Okay, time to do some more work. The oil pan and front case have been reattached. So I used 20 foot-pounds on each one of the bolts. There were a bolt here, 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 up there, here, and here. So those are 20 foot-pounds. The one stripped out screw, like that's the one that's right there. The rest of these I set to 8 foot-pounds. I put the slimy gasket cinch thing on this, so hopefully that'll keep it mostly contained, like contained enough for me to sell it in good conscience. I just like tightened enough the alternator thing because I know I'm gonna have to loosen that up and put the belts on like later. I still have to put on the idler pulley and tensioner pulley. I'm waiting for those bolts. I'm waiting for one bolt for the idler pulley to come in, and then I can go pick it up and put those both on. I'm not going to do it today because I want to end it on a high note of having everything reassembled. The alternator, in order to get that back in, I had to, what does this go to? What does this go to? This probably goes to, it goes to one of the fans. It goes to the other fan. I put the red gasket on the one bolt that is stripped out and that I can't get to on the oil pan. I still have to put in the engine mount, like put that back in. I'm probably going to leave it out just so I can raise and lower the engine easier while I'm putting the timing belt back on, and when I'm putting the water pulley wheel back on. That should be easier this time around because I've got a longer set of wrenches. So I'm going to put all my tools away, put the wheel back on, lower it back down. But next time I work on this, it's all going to be this stuff, the timing belt. So far I've attached the bolt to the idler pulley. That's a 14mm bolt, and it's adjusted to 41 foot-pounds. I put thread locker on it this time, so hopefully it won't fall out and cause a cascade of events that ruins the engine, or the cylinder head at least. The inside of this is threaded. I need to be able to turn this clockwise while the belt is still off. The timing mark is here. It needs to be all the way around to where this stud is. I've already got the spark plugs out. What I need is a tool that can fit in there, turn, without breaking. There's no way to get leverage on the flex plate here. It's recessed, so I don't have anything to leverage the any screwdriver against. All I'm doing is, like, it's not touching one of the teeth, I don't think. I can't get any leverage on the flywheel. This thing is recessed, so I can't really get a screwdriver in there effectively and get any motion on it. Even if I could, I don't know if that would get it to turn. I've tried beating on it with a hammer, so I've tried coming in at this angle and this angle and this angle and this angle, and it just isn't something that I can do because it's recessed. I've already got it in neutral. I've already taken out the spark plugs and put oil in the spark plug wells. I've tried putting weight on the crankshaft breaker bar while I'm doing this. I can do this all day and it doesn't make any difference. I cannot get this thing to turn. I can only rotate it clockwise because whenever I rotate it counterclockwise, the bolt unscrews. And even if I were to put ratchet straps through here or a chain or something and try to pull it that way, I don't think it would move. So why is it not moving? It makes no sense at all. My next attempt to get the crankshaft to turn is to use the starter motor. I don't know what else to do. So my plan is just barely get it to turn over, like, you know how you hear grrt, like just that, like that, to get, maybe to get the engine to move slightly, just anything to get it to move just a fraction of an inch. So the reason why I think that'll work is that without messing anything up, well, first of all, there's not sufficient oil in the engine. I haven't filled up the entire oil reservoir, but it's not going to be running that long. I'm going to try to use the starter motor to get the crankshaft to turn. I don't know if this will even work, or if it'll just burn out the starter motor, or if the battery doesn't have enough juice because it's been sitting for like 6 months to be able to turn it over. I don't think it's going to mess up the cylinder head or anything else, just because it's not connected with the belt. It's just going to sit there independently without anything happening. I don't know if anything will happen. Maybe it'll just nothing will happen and it'll just sit there. All right, let's see what happens. Remember, I'm just gonna barely turn it. Let's see if that did anything. I think exactly nothing happened. All right, let's see what happened, if anything. I think it's a battery thing right now. Can't do both of these at the same time. I'm going to try to just... This is a bad idea. I've got one of the spark plugs plugged in, so I don't know. Maybe something will happen. It's like the car can't oomph itself into turning over. I've got all 4 spark plugs plugged in.